Welcome to Motorcycle Insider. My name is Tristan, and this is your destination for information from inside the powersports industry. Today's machine was provided by Seminole Powersports in Sanford, Florida. SPS has been in business since 1982, and they have everything that you need to get started on your next adventure. Call or stop by today to get started.
Always, buddy. To make sure this thing's not a complete death trap. You really ruin the geometry of a bike when you stretch it and lower it, or both. This has been stretched, and the preload in the rear is super stiff. The guy was a heavier, taller gentleman, probably between 250 and 300, so he squatted down. When I sit on this thing, the suspension barely moves, so the back end is a lot higher than it should be, being stretched, and the fact that the suspension doesn't compress. Just need to make sure it doesn't ride like a total death trap. Alright, it still dips in okay. Doesn't feel like there's way too much weight on the front. I mean, you've already got a good bit of weight on the front on the Super Sport, but from the way it looks like it's got way too much weight on the front. I don't think it's too bad. I mean, you can feel that it's a lot longer wheelbase, and it's not a crazy stretch. You know, I've seen worse, but still, it has no place. I mean, that's just my humble opinion, right? But I was about to run that red light. That's why we pay attention, folks. And there was a cop right there, so he totally would have got me. Can't even see the license plate on this thing. I put a dealer plate on there, but brakes work, at least. Man, I'll tell you what, Rocks makes a good exhaust. I mean, hearing a little bit of valve train noise. Yeah, I'm hearing some ticking and tapping. I mean, the thing's got 14K on it. It's not due for a valve adjustment. I can't really tell you what that is. Doesn't sound like lifter tap, but I don't know. Cam chain tensioner, I don't think it's due for that either. But hey, I'm just making sure it rides. Like, at least livably. It'd be a lot better in the stock configuration as far as the suspension goes, but hey, not my bike. Lean down. I mean, it's not super, I mean, it'll go once you get it there, but yeah, a little strange. It's my first like a Busa and a ZX-14 handle better than this does. I mean, because those are, the geometry is set up for it to work the way it comes, and this is not. This is just, hey, I want to stretch my bike, right? So, God, that's why I don't own a Super Sport. My wrist hurts so bad right now. I don't even want to stop again. That's why you see guys doing this all the time, because your wrist starts killing you. You're trying to actuate and do fine movement and hold your weight up. Not easy. It's basically like your slack wrist, because if you're gripping the clutch too, so not super good thing. But yeah, your ride's okay. Livable. Not for me, but you know, for whoever's into this sort of thing. I mean, I like Super Sports, don't get me wrong, but I just wouldn't stretch it like this. I mean, God, my butt is so high up in the air when I slide all the way back on this thing. This just does not even make sense. If it wasn't stretched like this, it wouldn't be that way. It feels right on one factory. I mean, look, this thing barely bounces. There's hardly any movement out of this rear. A little sketchy. A little sketchy. You know, if I was riding crazy, right? If we're just cruising, and the person who's going to buy something that's stretched out like this is not going to be really putting it through its paces. In a straight line, yeah, but they're not going to be Valentino Rossi, you know, scraping elbow in the corners, right? They could try. Wouldn't last very long. Either that front end will wash out, or that rear end will slide out, because the lack of proper suspension damping. Gotta love a nasty sounding inline 4, though, I tell you what. I love my big thumper in the 701, but man, that's a good noise, you know what I mean? Can't hate that. Sketchy in the corners. It doesn't feel like it. It's just a weird sensation. There's like a delay, you know, where you expect a Super Sport to fall into turns really easily. This, you do have to fight it a little bit. It'd probably be better for somebody less experienced, honestly. It wouldn't be nearly as twitchy. You know, until the locked up rear end starts freaking spinning around because you can't keep traction with no damping. Or you chop the throttle and the front end dips because all the weight's on the front tire. You want your suspension and your tires to be loaded, don't get me wrong, but you don't want 100% of the weight on the front wheel. That's a bad thing. Yeah, like the amount I was leaning on that should have ran way tighter. Runs a little wide. You love it. Meh.